Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning, time for Sales Logic. Hanging out here with my partner, Mark Hunter. Mark, what's up on tap for today?
Hey, what's on tap for today? Building the sales skills of digital expertise. Hey, we got to back up for a second. If Mare's audio sounds a little, she's in a car. She's literally been traveling all night from Portland to get back to North Carolina to be able to be on this show, but she made it. That's the commitment we have for Sales Logic. Thank you, Mare. So anyway, the topic again, we're going to be talking about building the sales skills of digital expertise.
Yeah, Mark got in late on his flight. I was on a red eye. It may not be good to watch the video for this one, right, Mark? But we'll try to be good on audio.
The audio is always good. There we go.
All right, here we go.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
Well, this is pretty cool. I'm learning I can pretty much access everything from my phone. So StreamYard, great mobile capability. All right. Hey Ross, welcome. I'm first timer. Fantastic. Great to have you here. All right. I want to tell you how the show works. And Ross, this is for you. If you want to be a part of Sales Logic, send us your questions, because we start every show off with a question from you, the audience. We cover a hot topic, we recommend a book, and because we want you to leave with a lightning round, because we want you to leave with return on investment, red eye just caught me, we end with a lightning round. All right, Mark, what is on tap for today, and what are we going to cover, and what's our question?
Sure, we got a great question that comes from Marvin in Daytona Beach, Florida. He says, I've been in insurance sales all my life. Started really when I was a kid. This industry is getting tough, rough. Rules, regulations, and the list goes on and on. I'm a traditional sales guy, golf tournaments, chamber events, taking clients out for a beer. My strategies are just not working anymore. Why? Well, Marvin, you didn't get the memo, but hey, I threw this into the Sales Logic brain. Of course, everybody who's part of the Sales Logic Mastermind gets access to it. And it came back with several really critical things that we're going to dive into and unpack, and that is the digital transformation out there. Without a doubt, Marvin is a digital nomad. He's not a digital native, and he's got to pick up that game. And the other piece is that customer behavior has changed because they too are digital natives. We've got to be communicating with our customers differently. So that's the topic today, because the topic is all around the sales skills of digital expertise. Mayor, jump in. What are you?
Yeah, so I want to begin by, and I'm sorry, who is our question from? What is his name?
Marvin in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay, Marvin, because I want to address you by name. Number one is the very fact that you have noticed that your sales strategy isn't working is incredibly valuable information. I was just doing a presentation yesterday in Portland, Oregon, and sharing with the audience, I update my sales strategy at least 3 times a year, because you need to realize that there is more happening outside of what you can control than inside what you can control. And you have been doing things like you have always done them, but the moment you notice they're not working, you need to change up your strategy. But Marvin, where I want to challenge you is to look at your own sales behavior. How do you buy? Personally, I Google everything first. I watch a video, I look online for information, even if I know where I want to get it. Mark, I even do this before I go to the grocery store. Somebody will tell me about something they're using. I go home and I Google it first. So you need to realize that the first step in any sales process is getting visible in the line of sight where the customer is looking. And Marvin, that's where I'm guessing by the time a customer shows up to a golf tournament, by the time you ask them for a beer, they're over 50% of the way to their decision point, and you're starting the game at halftime.
See, this brings up a key point, Mary. You bring up this whole issue that we tend to sell the way we want to buy. And Marvin, for you, you like buying differently, and your customers are buying differently than you. I was just at an event this week in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and this same topic came up because, again, what's happening is the process we use changes. So I'm going to suggest, Marvin, you've got to go to your top 10 customers. No, not your top 10 customers. 10 customers that you want to get. Ask them how they are finding, how they are making decisions. Talk to other people in your family, other people in your friends. Get outside the insurance space, because here's what is happening out there. People, again, are making decisions totally different. And, you think about it, Marvin, I hate to say it, you're a great guy. Undoubtedly you are. You've built up a great business. But how many people really want to talk to an insurance agent? It's not high on people's list. See, so people are trying to make those decisions digitally. Now let's bring this back to what we're talking about here. What this means is that you have to find different ways, regardless of what you sell, to be reaching out to your customers. And that means you got to start, number one, with what your LinkedIn profile looks like. Because what does Google have to say about you? What does Google have to say about your company? Because just as Mary said, she even Googles food before she goes and buys it in a grocery store. Yes, people are Googling you before they make any kind of a decision. Hey, another first-time listener, Jennifer, welcome. John, great, you're heading out to Portland. Mary just trying to get back from Portland, so yes.
I warmed it up for you. Welcome, Jennifer and Ross. So ask all the questions you want to here. I love what Princess is bringing to the table. She is an early tech adopter and has accelerated her career as a speaker and small business owner, really tapping into AI, and digital revolution is critical. Princess, you could not be more powerful around that. Marvin, what I want you to think about and do, like I just booked a deal yesterday with a CEO who has been following my videos online. And the reason he asked me to come in and work with his group is he already knows what I have to say about sales. He likes my approach to what I'm talking about sales. So Marvin, think about the insurance industry. What are the biggest challenges that your customers are having? And what are you doing to position yourself as a resource and a value add so that they get to know you? Mark, the other thing that I think is so powerful about this digital revolution, I love the way that Princess labeled it here, is the fact that now, because my reputation is out there online, because I'm able to say what I think and put my content out there, a lot of my buyers are already sold before they ever talk to me, because I have done a much better job of selling myself through content than I ever could in a fast one-to-one conversation. So Marvin, what I want you to understand is I realize this is out of your comfort zone, and I don't want to take away your golf tournament. I don't want to take away the beer, because I think, Mark, we need to do a show on why some of those traditional methodologies are more powerful than they've ever been, because your competition isn't there anymore. But you have to blend the two together.
That's what's so key, because the two fit together. And there's some really key issues here. If you stop and think about this, people are finding out about us before they reach out to us. There's a line that I love to use, that your reputation arrives before you do. Now, Marvin, it's going to be easy for you and others to get caught up. I know Princess dropped those two letters, AI. Oh, I don't understand AI. You don't have to understand AI at the entry level. What you do need to understand is you got to be putting content, you got to be putting meaningful insights out there, and allow people to find you. And again, the easiest way with which to do that is LinkedIn, because again, it creates that platform. And you say, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. I realize that. But at one point in time, people didn't like having to pick up the phone and make phone calls. Oh, I guess we've come full circle, and they don't like doing that now. But the whole premise is you have to be comfortable with it. And what does that mean? Becoming the expert, because all of us are making decisions long before we ever engage in a salesperson, because we're educating ourselves.
Yeah. Welcome, Natalie, a big member of our Sales Logic Mastermind, and I love that we've got people connecting with each other here, John and Natalie and Princess. John, welcome, and thank you. We love this topic as well. A couple of things. I want to talk a moment about AI because I am not proficient at AI, but I use it almost on a daily basis. Just yesterday when I was in Portland, before I got up in front of the audience, I wanted to know what it was like to do business in Portland. What does it feel like? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? What have been the latest shifts? I put all of that into ChatGPT, and it feeds me information so I can get up to date. Marvin, what I want you to understand about the way that you have always sold is your customers expect more out of you today. They expect you to come in understanding the landscape, the problems they're going through, the market that they're facing, and giving them real tools and strategies and solutions that can help them solve those problems. When I spoke yesterday, I was talking about the fact that you no longer sell a product or service. Marvin, you're not selling insurance. You know why? Because everybody's selling insurance. I can find an insurance salesman. I'm out in the middle of nowhere in Western North Carolina. I bet you there's an insurance salesman within 5 miles of me. That's not my problem. I need somebody who can understand my threats as it relates to protecting my assets and can provide me the best opportunities and strategies to solve that problem. And positioning yourself in the digital landscape there first. I came up in a world where marketing was one division in sales and sales was another division, and they rarely spoke to each other. In fact, when they spoke, they were usually mad at each other. Today, they are so integrated. As a sales professional, if you are not tapping into what marketing is doing and not using marketing, you're making sales so much harder than it has to be. And marketing, if you are not listening to the intel that the sales professionals are learning from customers, your marketing is ineffective.
Now, some of you may have gotten confused there because Mayor dropped that word ChatGPT. And yeah, great tool. I use it. There are a number of AI tools. But don't think that you have to go all the way into AI to experience AI. Google search, even today, enhances many AI features because you can type a question right into Google search. You know, what is it like to do business in Portland, for instance? And I would imagine Mayor could have done that yesterday in Google. Now, she chose ChatGPT because she was going to get a better answer. It's great, but you can still use Google. So don't think for a moment that there are not tools out there that you can take advantage of. Natalie brings up this whole key piece: network and connect with people in your industry. I talk with alliance partners to discover best practices. And you know what? You can do that online. I'm going to challenge you. One of the things that I always try to do is I want to create online connections so I can have offline conversations, online connection, because I'm connecting with somebody on LinkedIn. I was just at an event this week and a number of people came up to me and they said, "Oh, Mark, I've been following you for years on LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever." So what does that mean? That they are predisposed to things I'm going to have to say. Marvin, I'll tell you what, you and everybody else out there love golf tournaments, love those other features because that's one-to-one and that makes things happen. But you've got to be embracing. We all have to become digital natives, comfortable using this smartphone, because again, that's where business is happening from.
So Marvin, some of those traditional techniques are great, but first you have to figure out, where is your customer looking for information? For example, Mark and I have talked a lot about LinkedIn here. That's because that's where our customer is. I was working with a healthcare provider on Thursday. She does a lot of the work in the cosmetic industry, and she's opening up 2 new markets. And her platform is going to be more Instagram, because that is where her customer is looking for information. So what we talked about was, write down all the questions that your patients come in and ask you, or call in and ask before they want to have a cosmetic procedure, and then shoot a video on that. put those shorts out there on Instagram, and start to position yourself as the go-to resource. So part of the digital landscape, and I'd love to see where our audience chimes in here, is number one, it's about building your reputation. The second is doing your homework and doing your research. Because Marvin, if you're still selling in a traditional way, you're showing up and asking your customers questions like, what keeps you up at night? If you are asking that question, you are selling in 1985. Because in 2024 and 2025, you better be showing up and saying, in the research that I have done, in the work that I have done, I have found that the top 3 issues in your industry are this, and this is how we're working with our clients to solve that. I'd like to work with you to solve those problems. You need to be one step ahead, and the digital landscape gives you the ability to do that.
Now, in this case, you can ask Mary that question, and she has been up all night because of the flight delay. So anyway, hey, here's the whole thing. We threw out LinkedIn, we threw out Instagram, and of course, there's Facebook and all that. Don't think you need to be on all platforms. This is something I tell people all the time. You only go on a platform or two that is where your customers are at and that you can have a presence. Don't try to be on anything and everything out there. There's stuff out there, TikTok, Snapchat, there's tons of stuff out there. Who really cares? Stay absolutely dialed in. And it doesn't have to be a overwhelming piece of your time. It's just a couple minutes. It's just getting into a strategy, getting into a process, making it happen. But go back, and what you want to be doing is you want to be answering questions that your clients, your customers are asking you. Put those questions out there and answer that. That's how you're going to be able to create your digital footprint, and you're going to create digital expertise.
Yeah, I love what Ross adds here. I've been noticed by customers, peers, and even competitors as a valuable resource on LinkedIn. So important. So that means that when Ross goes to make a call, that customer is going to open the door because they already heard of him and about him. In other words, Marvin, what you need to think about is when you ask to do a sales call, you are asking a prospect for something that they have little of, and that is their time. So they're protective of it. And they don't want to give it over unless they think it is going to be worth their time. Well, if they don't know who you are and what you stand for and what value you bring to the table, why would they let you through the door? So you're doing all this on the front end to convince the customer that talking to you would be a good return on investment for them. The other place I want to talk about digital that is so incredibly important is, Marvin, I don't know how you're following up with customers. You know, the lead time to get a deal to close is a lot longer. Sales cycles have lengthened, especially we're recording this in fourth quarter of 2024, and we're in the middle of interest rates just came down. Inflation is still rising. They're still teetering on what the economy is going to look like for next year. And oh yeah, it's an election year here in the United States. It means that things are going to slow in the fourth quarter. It means your follow-up system is going to need to really be good and get ready to nurture it longer. And if you're not using the digital landscape, if you're not using content, if you're not using articles, if you're not using videos, if you're not connecting and commenting on digital platforms, then you are following up by saying, are you ready to do business with me yet? And you have just moved into the annoying phase, because you're going to have to do that for 18 months maybe to get that deal to close. So we talked about digital on the front end to get the door to open, but the digital landscape and the content you create, it's very important in the follow-up system. That's why marketing and sales need to be so beautifully integrated. Because Marvin, if all you're doing is following up by either making a call or inviting people to golf tournaments, you're going to have so much invested in golf tournaments, you're going to completely have eaten away the margin on anything you would have made from that customer. So you need to expand to really get into this platform on both the front end and the back end of sales.
And to add on to that, your expertise, when you're creating digital expertise, you want to be able to spread it across multiple platforms. For instance, Meredith and I are doing this as a podcast. This is audio. But wait a minute. You might be listening to it right now as a video because you're streaming it live, whether it be on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. See, we're on multiple platforms. but it's the same digital expertise knowledge. Then it ultimately goes out a few days later as an audio podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, et cetera, et cetera. What does this mean? We're efficiently using our digital expertise to spread it far and wide. What does that allow us to do? It allows us to create a digital footprint, because for both Meredith and I, what we've been able to do is we've been able to engage in numerous conversations, as we've seen here this morning, with people who we know for a long time. We've got a number of first-time listeners here joining us this morning. What is that doing? That's expanding our community. And again, it goes back to expanding our digital footprint. But we're doing the exact same effort. We're not stressing ourselves out by doing different things for different things. No, it's one thing shared across multiple platforms. Does that run counter to what I said earlier? No, it doesn't. Because here's the whole thing. We're targeted, we're focused on LinkedIn. We're targeted, focused on a podcast. But the others just kind of come along for the ride. And that's absolutely fantastic. But it allows us to be seen and heard by more people. This is what it means to be a digital native, because it's noisy out there. It's noisy. And you got to create content. You got to create expertise to join.
Yeah, I love what John Register is saying here about your favorite band. Such a great example, John. You buy the album, that might have just dated me. You listen to your favorite songs, and then you go to listen to them live to play the music you could listen to at home because you're so bought in. And that's what we're doing here, is really creating fans. Dave Sanderson really talking about the fact that he blogs every Monday morning and really begin to find more interaction from that. But Bill King. Oh God, you always add so much value. He's right. It's a great tool for pre-call planning. Again, Marvin, if you are not using the resources of online, you are going into that sales call in a weakened position.
Yeah, because I just did this the other day. In fact, it was yesterday. I got an inbound lead, and it was an industry that I wasn't quite familiar with. What did I do? I immediately Googled and I started using some AI tools to come up with that information insight. So when I returned the call, I could speak a little bit more intelligently. This is what you're doing, is you're using digital tools at your disposal. And this was the whole thing, that I was literally doing this from an airport. I was sitting in an airport and I was all on my smartphone. Again, we don't have to be anchored to the desk. We don't have to be anchored to those things. It is amazing at what we can do in a very flexible mode. But here's the thing. Digital means speed. Digital means speed. Yes, people are being slower to make decisions. But I'll tell you what, if we don't respond and engage and create awareness quickly, we're going to lose out.
Yeah. Princess, you are so right. I mean, thank God we don't have to be an expert, because I would never get off dead center, but just fool around with it. Because Ross, honestly, your question here, what are the best ways to discover customer pain points? I do a lot of research around it. I mean, I'll Google online, but then I verify it with my top customers. I'll call people I do a lot of business with, and I'll just say, this is kind of what I'm seeing in the marketplace. Is this what you're feeling? The other is, and Mark, we should do a show on this, is active listening. You know, your analytical skills and your active listening when it comes to sales, because I don't think customers really know what their pain points are. I think our job is to listen deeper in them to discover. So hold on, Ross. That's a great question, and we'll cover that in a future show. But Mark, we are burning time here, and
we are.
Hey, the highway. What is the book, and what's our lightning tool?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to add one comment to what Ross said. Ross, 3 things you want to check out. Check out the industry that they're in. Check out the customers that they sell to, and check out them themselves as their own company. Do those 3 little nuggets from a Google search or an AI search. That's how you're going to begin finding out what their customer pain points are. The book, of course, the Digital Selling Handbook by Bill Stinnett, came out a couple years ago. Very much suggest picking it up, because it is a really very easy read playbook that's going to help you understand that whole digital landscape out there. What are your thoughts?
I had another thought, Mark, actually. For anybody who wants to continue this conversation, wants to know more about it, you should join us Monday at 4:00 Eastern, because we're going to do our Sales Logic Expert series. And we've got none other than Bryn Tillman joining us, probably the biggest LinkedIn guru out there, and really knows not only a lot about LinkedIn, but the digital landscape. So again, that's 4 p.m. Eastern if you want to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and every month, the fourth Monday of each month at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we have the Sales Logic Expert Exchange. Just another one of those really cool benefits of being part of the Sales Logic Mastermind. But we allow anybody and everybody to join us for the first 45 minutes of that. Okay, lightning round. You ready?
I am.
Top 10 ways to consistently build your sales skills. Go.
Number one, listen to Sales Logic every Saturday morning at 8 Eastern.
2, subscribe to Sales Logic on your favorite podcast app. There you go.
These are, sorry, I wouldn't have started like that. Sorry. Number 3, I think you need to make a really good list of sales skills that you have and sales skills that you want to learn, and adopt a new sales skill you want to learn every single month.
I'm going to pick up on what Bill writes. He writes, post in LinkedIn groups where your clients live, because there are groups on LinkedIn that you can join that where your community hangs out at. Read, listen, learn, share from them.
Number 5, spend some time with a mentor or a coach. Look out at people that maybe have a skill that you need. Like if you wanted to learn more about prospecting, you might follow and learn a little bit from Mark Hunter, or spend a little bit of time with him. If you wanted to learn something about follow-up, you go find an expert at follow-up and work on building that skill.
Be consistent with your learning every week, every month. Make it a habit, make it a goal. What am I going to learn? Be consistent in your learning.
Number 7, I would say adopt a habit that I've got, that I spend 30 minutes every morning in learning mode. So set the time aside, however you're going to do it, and basically just commit to it. And don't worry about being perfect, but just worry about learning something and advancing in some way.
And I'm going to pick up on that. Be brutally strict with your time and how you focus your day. It's amazing. Accountability of your time is going to give you the windows of time that you need to increase your learning capability. Number 9, go ahead.
Yeah, number 9, I would say really push out of your comfort zone. Don't just choose to learn a skill that you're comfortable with, but choose a skill that'll really, really push you out of your comfort zone. I'll just give you a quick example. I mean, the very first time I did a LinkedIn Live, I'd never done one. I thought, this is something I need to learn how to do. And I got on LinkedIn and I was completely dark for, I think, a minute and a half before I realized my camera wasn't connected. That's okay. It's got me to the point where I am now, where I'm comfortable doing them. So push out of your comfort zone and build your confidence by doing and learning a skill that makes you a tad bit uncomfortable.
And when you push out of your skills, you may not be comfortable reading books. Start reading books. Don't just embrace short form reading. Do long form reading. You may not embrace audio. Start listening to audio. Force yourself into different learning habits, and it's how you're going to expand your learning skills. Hey, this has been a great program. Do want to encourage people to check out Sales Logic Mastermind. Go out to Sales Logic Podcast. Join us, because the number of tools, Natalie put a comment in there. It's amazing the number of tools we have out there that you can access for being part of the Sales Logic Mastermind. But with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meredith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical, and Meredith can finish her drive home and get some sleep.
Oh, no, I'm headed to the golf course, baby.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not sleeping till tomorrow. We will see you all right back here next week for another episode of Sales Logic. Remember, join us at 4 p.m. Eastern for another Sales Logic Expert Series. If you want to continue this conversation, send your questions in to Sales Logic Podcast, and think about joining the Sales Logic Mastermind. Together, we'll make 2025 your best year on record. We'll see you next week. You have been the most amazing audience, as you always are. See you next time.